Angel Reese just got the most brutal reality check of her entire career, and the numbers behind it are so shocking that even her biggest defenders are going silent. Every single network in America just made a decision that exposed exactly where Reese actually ranks in the WNBA pecking order. And spoiler alert, it's nowhere near where she thinks she belongs. While Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever just made history by landing all 44 of their regular season games on national television, Angel Reese and the Atlanta Dream got stuck with a measly 28. And when Reese found out, well, let's just say the reaction was exactly what you'd expect from someone who's been telling anyone with a microphone that she's the reason people watch women's basketball. Before we dive into this mess, do me a favor and smash that like button and subscribe if you're tired of the constant Caitlin Clark hate. Because today we're breaking down every single number, every single reaction, and every single reason why this decision just flipped the entire league upside down. Let's start with the history that was just made before a single ball has even been dribbled in the 2026 season. No WNBA team, and I mean not one in the entire history of this league, has ever had every single regular season game on national television. Not the Comets dynasty of the late 90s, not the Lisa Leslie Sparks, not the Diana Taurasi Mercury. Nobody. The Indiana Fever just shattered that ceiling, and the season hasn't even tipped off yet. Every one of their 44 games lands on a major broadcast partner. We're talking ABC, ESPN, NBC, Peacock, CBS, Paramount Plus, USA Network, Prime Video, ION, and NBA TV. That's 10 different partners all fighting over pieces of the same team's schedule, which has genuinely never happened before in this league, or honestly any women's professional sports league in American history. When you've got that many companies writing checks for the same product, it tells you something very direct about what that product is actually worth right now. And that product has a name, a jersey number, and a very familiar logo bow. Caitlin Clark, number 22, is not a needle mover. She is the needle. The reason this happened isn't complicated, and anyone pretending otherwise is either lying or hasn't looked at a single ratings chart in the last 2 years. Networks pay for eyeballs, full stop. Clark coming back from her injury-shortened 2025 season meant every single broadcast partner ran the exact same calculation in their boardrooms. A healthy Clark running Indiana's offense is the safest bet available in women's basketball. Maybe in all of women's sports. She already proved what she does to ratings before she got hurt, shattering records for regular season games, playoff games, and even preseason exhibitions that nobody should have cared about but somehow drew more viewers than actual NBA playoff games. So every network knew exactly what they were buying when they put in their bids for Fever games, and they were willing to pay premium dollars to lock it down. But that wasn't the whole story, because Clark didn't just come back healthy. She came back to a roster that's actually built to play around her in a way that makes her nearly impossible to game plan against. Aliyah Boston posting up in the paint pulls defenders away from the perimeter and gives Clark clean driving lanes every single possession. Kelsey Mitchell, shooting off screens, forces defenses to chase 2 elite threats at once instead of loading up on Clark. Lexi Hull takes the other team's best perimeter player every single night so Clark doesn't have to burn energy on the defensive end. And of course, Sophie Cunningham brings that physical toughness off the bench that every championship team needs, keeping possessions alive, setting the tone, and honestly just making the Fever a much harder team to push around than they were even 1 year ago. Sophie's presence alone has been a game changer, and the chemistry she has with Clark is something special. So every time Clark pushes pace in transition or pulls up from 30 feet, there are real players around her making the defense pay for every decision, and that makes the whole offense a nightmare for opposing coaches. Now here's where things get really interesting, because advertisers don't buy games, they buy audiences. And Clark's audience skews exactly where sponsors want to spend their money. Young, engaged, with disposable income, and most importantly, actually showing up to watch. So the broadcast math was never really about Indiana's win-loss record or how far they'd go in the playoffs this year. It was about the absolute certainty that Clark on a screen means people watch. That certainty alone is now worth all 44 games, which again is a number no team in this league has ever hit before. Think about what this actually means in practice. Not one Fever game this season stays local. Every road game in Seattle, every trip to Phoenix, every back-to-back in late July when teams are exhausted and the matchups normally aren't glamorous. Every random Tuesday night in August that would normally disappear into the schedule without anyone noticing, all of it gets national treatment. That's the same level of coverage a playoff game gets on ABC applied to the entire regular season of one single team. The international piece matters too, because Clark's fanbase doesn't stop at the United States border. Peacock and Prime Video carry streaming rights that make her games accessible in a way that pushes the total value of the rights package well beyond what any domestic-only deal could justify. That's a huge part of why so many partners jumped in, because they know the global appetite for Clark content is only growing. When you look at the top 5 most televised teams in 2026 and see the Fever sitting at 44 while the next closest team sits 8 games back, that's not a quirk in the scheduling software. That's networks completely reorganizing their entire women's basketball strategy around one player returning to full health. And honestly, they were absolutely right to do it. Now let's actually go through the top 5 and see exactly where everybody else landed, because this is where Angel Reese's tantrum starts to make a little more sense. Dallas has Paige Buchers and now Azzi Fudd right next to her as the #1 overall pick, and they still couldn't catch Indiana. So picture how far down the list you have to slide before you're not even in the top 5. Yes, I'm looking right at you, Angel. Indiana sits at 44 nationally televised games. The Dallas Wings come in at 36, which is genuinely exciting because Buchers and Fudd together is appointment basketball and networks clearly agree. The New York Liberty land at 35 with their super team built around Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu. The Las Vegas Aces check in at 33, and keep in mind these are the defending champions with Aja Wilson, who just won another MVP running their offense. The Los Angeles Sparks round out the top 5 at 31. Every single one of those teams plays in a real arena in a major market, or at minimum a venue that can pack in thousands of fans and generate the kind of crowd noise that makes a broadcast feel like an event worth watching. Then we get to the Atlanta Dream at 28 games, not in the top 5, not even close to sniffing the conversation. Angel Reese has spent the last 2 years telling anyone with a microphone that she's the reason people tune into women's basketball. She's given entire podcast episodes, interviews, and social media monologues about being the driving force behind the league's growth. So either she's been wrong this entire time, or every network in the country somehow missed the memo simultaneously. And I can promise you, networks don't miss memos when there's real money on the table. These are billion-dollar companies making data-driven decisions, not emotional ones. Here's where it gets even more brutal for the Dream, because the arena situation makes the 28-game number look absolutely catastrophic in context. The Dream play their home games at a facility in College Park, Georgia that seats around 3,500 people. That's not a typo. And no, I did not forget a zero. 3,500. Meanwhile, the Aces play at Michelob Ultra Arena. The Liberty are in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center, and the Fever pack Gainbridge Fieldhouse with roughly 17,000 screaming fans per game. When a network sells advertising against a live game, part of what they're selling is atmosphere. The noise of a packed building, the feeling that something real and important is happening on that court. A 3,500-seat gym in suburban Atlanta physically cannot manufacture that no matter how loud the crowd gets or how many creative camera angles the production team uses. Quick pause here. If you're enjoying this breakdown and want more honest WNBA coverage that actually looks at the numbers instead of just pushing narratives, drop a comment below with your thoughts on this whole situation. Do you think Reese is delusional? Do you think the Dream need a new arena immediately? Let me know and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Because the reported reaction from Reese is something else entirely. Advertiser rates on sports broadcasts tie directly to the perceived prestige of what's on screen. And a half-filled college gym sends a very specific signal to media buyers that a sold-out NBA arena simply doesn't. That signal affects how aggressively networks bid for those games, which is exactly why the Dream landed at 28, while everyone else in the top 5 was playing in buildings that look and sound like legitimate major league sporting events on television. This is a cold business decision, and the WNBA doesn't have time for anyone to be acting upset about reality. The Dallas and Indiana comparison is actually worth sitting with for a second, because Dallas and Indianapolis aren't New York, Las Vegas, or Los Angeles in terms of media market size. Yet Clark and Buchers have star power that travels way past the local market, and networks will pay top dollar for it. That's why Indiana sits at the top with 44 games and Dallas grabs second with 36. Star power that people outside the home city actually care about is what drives these numbers. And Reese just doesn't move that needle the way she genuinely believes she does. And now for the part everyone's been waiting for. When Reese found out about the scheduling disparity, the reaction was reportedly immediate and not exactly graceful. Sources close to the situation indicate Reese was absolutely furious, venting to teammates and anyone who would listen about how the league continues to, in her words, prop up Clark while ignoring her contributions. This is the same Angel Reese who demanded a trade from the Chicago Sky at the end of last season. The same Angel Reese who has repeatedly suggested she deserves a bigger piece of the WNBA pie. And the same Angel Reese who has made a personal brand out of positioning herself as Clark's rival despite the head-to-head matchups being, let's just say, not particularly competitive on the scoreboard or in the box score. The problem for Reese is that the advertisers don't care about her feelings. The networks don't care about her feelings, and increasingly, it seems like even some of her own peers are growing tired of the constant comparisons she herself keeps creating. What's even more shocking is the response from other players around the league who have quietly started pushing back on the idea that Reese is carrying any meaningful share of the league's popularity. Several veterans have pointed out that the rating spikes, the merchandise sales, the ticket price surges on the secondary market, all of it tracks to Clark specifically. When Clark plays, numbers go up across the board. When Clark sits, numbers drop across the board. It's not complicated math, it's not a conspiracy, and it's not bias. It's just the reality of what moves the needle in a sport that's still fighting for every bit of mainstream attention it can get. Reese is a good player, nobody's denying that. She leads the league in rebounding, and she's a double-double machine. But being a good player and being the face of the league are two completely different things, and the 44 versus 28 game disparity just made that difference impossible to ignore. The Atlanta Dream front office now faces a really uncomfortable set of decisions heading into the season. Do they push hard for a new arena that can actually host real crowds? Do they try to build a marketing campaign around Reese that actually generates national interest beyond her social media following? Or do they accept that their ceiling is capped until they either land a true superstar, or Reese evolves into a player whose on-court production matches her off-court volume? These aren't easy questions, and there's no guarantee Reese is even the long-term answer in Atlanta. Trade rumors have been swirling around her since she forced her way out of Chicago. And if her attitude about the scheduling continues to sour the locker room, you have to wonder how long the Dream will be willing to ride this out. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever are doing the exact opposite. They're building, they're winning, they're drawing historic crowds, and they're setting the standard for what a modern WNBA franchise should look like. Clark is healthy, Boston is dominant, Mitchell is lethal, Hull is locked in defensively, and Sophie Cunningham continues to be the heart and soul energy player that every championship team absolutely needs. The Fever aren't just a good team, they're the blueprint. And every other franchise in the league is now scrambling to figure out how to catch up. The 44-game national television schedule isn't just a reward for having Clark. It's a business decision that acknowledges the Fever are currently driving the entire economic engine of women's professional basketball in North America. So when Angel Reese lashes out, when she subtweets, when she makes cryptic comments on podcasts about being overlooked, understand exactly what's happening. She's watching in real time as the league she claimed to be the face of makes it crystal clear through actual money and actual television deals that she is not, and probably never was, the player she convinced herself she was. The numbers don't lie. The advertisers don't care about feelings, and the networks have spoken louder than any press conference quote ever could. 44-28. That's the final score of a battle Reese didn't even know she was losing until the schedule dropped. What do you think about all of this? Is Angel Reese justified in being upset? Or is this exactly the wake-up call she's needed for 2 years now? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you want more breakdowns like this, and subscribe for daily WNBA coverage that actually tells you the truth instead of pushing fake narratives. The 2026 season is going to be absolutely wild, and you don't want to miss a single moment of what's coming next, especially when the Fever and Dream finally meet on the court with all of this drama bubbling in the background. That game is going to break the internet, and you better believe every single network in America will be carrying it live.